Please welcome Jim Beyers.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jim Beyers, and I'm supposed to have words I'm speaking from up on the screen, and there they are. Thank you for your patience. I appreciate it. I'm Jim Beyers, Vice President of Developer Experience at CVS Health, and today I'm going to be joined by Mitch Enderle and Irene Modeste, and we're here to talk to you about how we're transforming CVS's developer experience in what we're calling our repo rally. So our agenda for today is to talk about how we're transforming DevX for over 10,000 developers at CVS Health, centralizing 100,000 repos in GitHub EMU, and orchestrating a massive migration, consolidating CI/CD. I'm going to set the stage, and then Mitch and Irene are going to go a little bit deeper. So let's start with the big picture. CVS Health is on a mission to deliver a world-class developer experience for over 10,000 engineers. This isn't just about code and tools. This is about empowering people, accelerating innovation, and making it easier for teams to deliver better healthcare solutions. At CVS Health, our mission and purpose is clear: to be the leading and most trusted healthcare company, delivering care like no one else can. We're ranked number 6 on the Fortune 500 and recognized as one of the most influential companies in the nation. But what really drives us is bringing our heart to every moment of your health. This means supporting our communities, our patients, and our colleagues with the best technology and the best experience possible. Our reach is broad, spanning healthcare benefits, health services, pharmacy and consumer wellness. Brands like Oak Street Health, Aetna, CVS Caremark, CVS Pharmacy, Signify Health, Minute Clinic, CVS Specialty, and Cordavis are all part of the CVS Health family. This diversity means that our developer platform must support a huge range of needs, securely and at scale. We're working hard to become America's most trusted healthcare company, wherever and whenever people need us. This means helping people manage chronic diseases and stay compliant with medications, improving access to affordable, convenient health and wellness services, and connecting people to high-quality care, lowering costs, and being a trusted partner. With over 300,000 colleagues, including physicians, pharmacists, nurses, and nurse practitioners, we're improving the health of American communities through local presence and digital innovation. Now, just to give you a sense of the scale, CVS Health is made up of over 200 Oak Street clinics and more than 1,000 walk-in and primary care clinics. There are over 185 million people served across the CVS Health businesses. There are over 14 million active users of our redesigned CVS Health app, and 5 million daily interactions across our more than 9,000 pharmacy locations. This scale is why our developer experience transformation really matters. It impacts millions of lives every day. Our vision is a healthy 2030, generating a better world for generations to come. That means healthy people. Everyone deserves the chance to be healthy. Healthy business, driven by purpose and values like diversity and inclusion. Healthy community, supporting local health by removing barriers. And a healthy planet, investing in sustainability and environmental health. We're transforming health through social responsibility, innovation, and technology. Now I want to get to the heart of our transformation, our actual technology strategy. This slide is about something we call vibrancy. For us, vibrancy means more than just an energy, it's a mindset. It's about working with the speed and creativity of a startup, but with the resources and scale of CVS Health. What does vibrancy look like in practice? It's about empowering teams with autonomy, giving them the freedom and tools to get things done without unnecessary friction, and fostering rapid innovation and continuous improvement. We want our teams to experiment, learn, and iterate quickly, delivering increased value to both our customers and the business. Every improvement in our developer experience translates to better, faster, and safer healthcare outcomes and solutions for millions of people. So how do we achieve this? By standardizing tools and practices across the organization. Vibrancy means no more silos and one-off solutions. Everyone on the same page and using the same playbook. By investing in continuous integration and source control rationalization, we were able to consolidate from 10 different tools down to a unified platform with GitHub and GitHub Actions. This wasn't just a technical migration. For us, it was a cultural shift. Vibrancy means that excellence in engineering and creative design are at the core of what we do. We want our engineers to focus on solving real problems, not wrestling with legacy systems or redundant processes. Our software engineering toolset is now modern, scalable, and secure. GitHub is our backbone, and GitHub Actions power our automations. Well, why does this matter? It means we can move faster, respond to change, and deliver value at scale. It supports employee development. Our teams have access to learning and growth programs, and they're part of a culture that values agility, productivity, and outcomes. Ultimately, it shapes our business strategy to be more competitive and resilient in a rapidly changing healthcare landscape. This is what vibrancy means for CVS Health. It's not just about technology, it's about the people, culture, and impact. And so with that, I'm really excited to hand things over to Mitch Enderle, who's going to take you through the technical journey and how we made this migration a success. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim, for the introduction. And hello, everyone, and good afternoon. This has been my first GitHub universe, and what an amazing experience the last 2 days to hear all of the innovation that's happening from all of you, the organizations, in GitHub. I'm really excited to go back and play with some of these tools, some of the new features that GitHub has, and maybe annoy some of my coworkers about how agents can do everything for us. But my name is Mitch Enderle, and I'm an executive director at CVS Health. I've been with CVS for the last 2 years, and it's been a really incredible experience for me, for my career. Being a part of a company that is working on revolutionizing healthcare and being part of the technology space and having a part in the tools that ultimately are improving the lives of millions of people is really gratifying for me personally to be a part of that mission. We're part of the DevX organization. We're really working on improving the developer experience at CVS. We're building really incredible tools for our developers to make their day-to-day lives easier. For example, we're building what we call CAP, which stands for CVS Application Platform. It makes it incredibly easy for our developers to be able to deploy their modern microservices and application resources at scale across the company. They don't need permission, they don't need an access request, it's just there for them and they can deploy. And then we're doing really cool things that we call preview environments, where a developer can merge to a development branch. And that's automatically going to trigger a build to one of our infrastructure platforms. And then they can share that running piece of software with their partners or stakeholders and get immediate feedback. So there's really a lot of fun things happening in DevX, and it's amazing to be a part of it. But really what we're here to talk about today is the work we're doing to standardize the developer tools that we have. We are in a bit of a transition phase today. We do have a bit of a fragmented developer experience. There's over 10,000 software engineers focusing on application level code at CVS. Of those 10,000 people, they're using a multitude of different tools. We have at least 7 source control versions running out there, over 10 CI/CD tools that are running. All of this creates a really fragmented ecosystem and really hard to manage. When we talk about implementing governance controls or security policies on pipelines, you can imagine the complexities it has when we want to implement, say, the inability for a developer to publish an artifact that has a critical vulnerability. Making that change across all of those tools is extremely burdensome, but it's a really poor experience for all of our developers. There's 10 different ways to communicate everything, and it's just a really chopped up experience. And I like to equate it to effectively our developers are largely speaking different languages. It's no different if all of us in this room were tasked with solving a problem, and we all spoke with different language. We would spend a lot of time just trying to understand what each other is saying. And that's a bit of where we're at today with having so many tools. This slows down our onboarding and does really prevent cross-team collaboration and prevents our developers from really focusing on application-level code. But this fragmentation doesn't just impact our developers. Our infrastructure and platform teams that manage all of these tools, you can imagine how much work it takes to manage an ecosystem quite this large. We have to push security updates, upgrades to the products. We have to patch them. Sometimes it's Linux, sometimes it's Windows. It is complex, and the team does an amazing job at keeping it going, but it is a lot of work for them. They spend an enormous amount of time managing all of these tools, compliance requirements, And what's really important, aspect that's really important to me is the support that we give our developers. Instead of really going deep on a tool, our knowledge is a wide breadth instead of going really deep, which does ultimately impact the experience that we can deliver to our colleagues at CVS. So instead of our engineers focusing on how to improve the developer experience, we're spending a lot of time just on managing the tools. I want the infrastructure and platform team spending time improving the experience. For example, how long is a pipeline taking? Are we emitting metrics for every single step of that pipeline so we know where to invest our time on improving it for our developers? Can we speed up a pipeline from 8 minutes to 6 minutes and knowing where we should spend time? That both increases velocity for our developers, but also saves CVS pretty significant money on where we spend for runner minutes. So what's our solution? We've decided to standardize on GitHub EMU to standardize our platform, standardize workflows, and improve discoverability, and provide consistent governance across the board. No longer do we have 10 different tools to do the job. We have one unified CI/CD platform that exists across the company. We have improved discoverability and collaboration. Today, when a developer joins CVS, they automatically get access to GitHub EMU. They're not submitting an access request. They're not getting approvals. They're allowed to be able to write code and deploy code day one of starting at CVS. And an area that's really exciting for me is the collaboration that we're already seeing. In our organization, we operate in Slack community channels where the developers can go ask for help. And a lot of times at these community channels, when you have one tool, we have people supporting one another. So their peer might answer the question instead of the platform team. This is really exciting, and it frees up a lot of time for the infrastructure and platform teams to focus on improving the experience. Standardized workflows and governance becomes extremely easy. When we talk about security gating for pipelines and preventing things that we don't want, this becomes really easy to be able to implement once and at scale, and we're communicating it in a consistent message across our entire developer ecosystem. All of this really reduces the cognitive load for our developers. They're no longer trying to understand what tools to use, how to navigate. They have one path to be able to do their job. And I think one area that I did forget to mention that's really important to me, I think, is career development. If we talk about using so many different tools, and maybe I'm interested as a developer to take on a new opportunity inside of the organization, if I have to learn a new tool set, that becomes an extreme burden for us to be able to learn a new tool set on top of learning a new team and new cultures. So it is a limiting factor for career growth as well. So how are we solving this from an actual migrating all of this stuff? I think Jim mentioned we are on a mission to, first step is migrate all of the repositories to GitHub EMU. I believe the last count we had was somewhere of 150,000 repos that are existing out in the environment that are actively being migrated to EMU. And Irene's going to talk about that next on the hard work that she's been doing and pivotal work that she's been driving to get those moved. After that, after the repos are centralized in GitHub EMU, we're going to work on migrating all of those pipelines to GitHub Actions. And we're working a little bit on how we'd use AI to be able to do that. All of this is transforming the developer ecosystem at CVS. So our developers get a focus on application innovation and not understanding which tools to use and what infrastructure platforms that they should be running on. And with that, Irene is going to walk us through all of the challenges and the progress she's been making on the migration of the repositories.
Hello, everyone. I'm Irene Modeste, and my focus of work is on the GitHub product adoption and developer experience at CVS Health. Over the past year, I've been working on the GitHub EMU repo migrations along with the team of engineers. Today, I'm going to talk you through our planning process. I'll also cover the challenges that we faced during migration, and lastly, I'll cover the outcomes of where we are with the migrations today. Going into the migration, we did not know how many repos there were across CVS Health. Our very first step was inventory and classification. That meant that we pulled data from 7 source code management tools. This led us to over 100,000 lines of repos, all consolidated in one spreadsheet. From there, we evaluated the CI/CD pipeline used by each repo, along with other repo attributes. With this information, we were able to organize our migration into 5 phases. In addition, we worked on migration scripts that can today lift and shift over 600 repos within a matter of 4 hours and just 2 engineers running those migration scripts. These scripts also include repointing the Jenkins CI/CD pipeline to the new repo in GitHub EMU, along with automated validations. Now, once we were ready to kick off the migrations, we sent out communication to the 10,000 plus CVS Health developers. This communication included information on what to expect with their repo migrations, along with a request for them to provide us with repo metadata and migration dates for their repos. Now we were ready to ignite the migration journey. During execution, we faced several challenges that we immediately had to solution for to get us to a place where we could speed up the migration. The first challenge was that progress was slower than planned. Initially, we were wanting teams to provide us with migration dates. We found that this was not working because they always had conflicting priorities. To address this, we assigned mandatory migration dates to every single repo on the spreadsheet. This meant that if a team could not get their repos migrated on the mandatory date, they had to provide us with justification of why, along with a new date to commit to for their migrations. The next problem we faced was the corrupted spreadsheet. Earlier, I mentioned that we consolidated over 100,000 lines of repo data into one spreadsheet, and with many contributors, you all can imagine how often that got corrupted. To solve for this, we developed a migration app that manages all the data and provides a seamless experience for the users and for our migration team. Now, the next challenge I'll talk about is the manual communication. When we first started the migrations, I had to work on sending out email communications 7 days ahead of a scheduled migration date to the 600 plus repo owners. In addition to the initial migration communication, I had to send out reminder emails and the migration complete email. As you can imagine, this is not scalable or sustainable, as it heavily relied on me doing these emails. To solve for this, we implemented automated event-driven emails into our application that trigger the emails to the repo owners 7 days before the migration, along with all the reminders. And at the end, they'll also receive a migration complete email that includes the new repo URL. The last challenge I'll talk about is the manual steps in our migration scripts. Initially, when we first started, our daily migrations were taking over 7 hours with 4 engineers running them, and this was not the best solution. To solve for it, we enhanced our migration scripts with automation on error handling, automated triggers, and automated validations. Now, let's talk about the outcomes of where we are on our migration journey. In Q1 to Q2 2025, this was heavily focused on discovery and planning, along with validating our migration scripts. During this time, we were able to get our migrations to 15% complete. In Q3, we implemented a lot of those solutions that I talked about on the previous slide. And at the end of Q3, we were at 50% complete with our migrations. Now, in Q4, we are positioned to end the year at 85% complete with our GitHub EMU repo migrations. In Q1 2026, we will be positioned to deprecate 6 of our source code management tools. This will lead us at 95% complete with our migration. The remaining work will take place in Q3 2026 to Q1 2027. This is where we'll migrate the 2,000 GitLab repos that use GitLab CI/CD, which needs to be converted to GitHub Actions at the point of migration. At that time, we will be 100% complete with our repo migrations. Thank you. I'll now hand it back over to Mitch.
Thank you, Irene. Can we give one more round of applause for Irene? She did the hard work, is the real truth, and the team did an amazing job on all this migration. Before we close out this session, one kind of funny story I like to share of this, that we kind of, this journey we went through is, I may or may not have a reputation for oversimplifying everything. And the team was mentioning, like, when they started this journey, they were running into some challenges with, like, GitHub API rate limits on the migrations. And I'm like, but you're just migrating repos. Like, what do you mean you're running into API rate limits? They're like, no, Mitch, you don't understand. Some of these repos have 800 branches. So you can see the bit of the governance that needs to be in place as we standardize into GitHub EMU. And it becomes, pretty easy to do at scale. So what's next? So as I mentioned, some of the challenges we have, right, is to be frank, some of the hard work is ahead of us on how we migrate some of these pipelines. Not to oversimplify it again, but there's literally thousands of pipelines that have all these bespoke patterns inside of these pipelines with custom scripts. How do we very easily lift and shift that to GitHub EMU and not put that burden on our developers? We're starting to do a little bit of POC work with Copilot and using Copilot agents to be able to do that heavy lift for those developers so they don't have to do it. We're just getting started on that, but that's the next journey that we'll have. Ultimately, what we're doing is trying to eliminate, like I said earlier, how we improve the developer experience so they can focus on application development and not which tool to use and how to migrate their stuff. And so we're going to do that for them. With that, I really appreciate all of you joining our session. We are going to be hanging out at the Ship and Tell, although I keep wanting to say Sip and Tell, if you know where mine's at. Right after this, I think in the next 10 minutes or so, or 15, if you want to talk about CVS, any of the cool things we're doing, any of the progress or challenges we've run into, come hang out with us and ask some questions. But thank you all, and have a safe trip home.